And then I looked up. It was like kind of slow motion. And I looked right at him. And he pointed again and shot me again. It was instantaneous. It was just like that. I was in darkness.
The following people experienced life after death. This is their story.
I tell you how I was delivered from the gates of hell.
Allahu Akbar Islam. That's what I used to wear this and show it off proudly.
We helped pioneer 3 churches.
Drifted into agnosticism and then full-blown militant atheism.
All I knew was Hinduism from my childhood.
I was outside of hell. What was I doing there? I'm a Christian. I'm a believer.
Jesus Christ was in front of me. Yes, he was. He was in front of me, and this is the truth, and God knows I'm telling the truth. He can strike me down this second. I'm telling the truth.
I saw the Lord Almighty, Lord Jesus Christ. I knew he was the Almighty. Nobody needed to introduce him to me.
I knew his name was Jesus Christ. And people asked me, what did Jesus look like? Well, I didn't see his face. He had a hood over his face. I knew if he would have pulled back his hood, it would not be good. It would be a judgment.
He has his head down and he has a hood on. And Jesus, he doesn't even want to look at me.
Every sin that I committed was flashed before my eyes. I was begging for his mercy. I was looking at his feet and I was shaking.
And it was terrifying. In fact, I think that standing before the Lord is more terrifying than hell because you're totally uncovered. You're totally undone.
Your faith is dead. Your works are in vain. The life that you lived and offered to me as a life of Christian service is an abomination that I rejected in the Pharisee. What made you think I would accept it from a Laodicean type Christian?
You serve the devil. Satan is your father, and you're going to be with him. And the Lord turned his back. He was done with me. He was done.
This deafening voice screamed, "He's mine, he's mine." He held me by the chains and he literally shook me, and down we went.
And I'm feeling this fear, but the speed of the fallingness, I can't even explain it in words.
The wind from falling, it was taking my breath away. I couldn't even breathe. So I screamed, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And I kept on screaming that, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I kept on screaming it faster, more and more because I was so desperate. I had to get out of this situation. And right away, my soul told me, it's not true. You're going to hell for eternity. It's not true.
And I was falling. I felt so fearful.
It's not fear, it's terror, and it's alive.
Terror like you would never believe.
It was so black, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
You can't even see your hand in front of your face.
I put my hand in front of my face, I can see nothing. I'm wiping my eye, I can't see nothing.
This darkness is not a darkness like here on earth.
This black abyss wasn't just like black like my black t-shirt. Imagine this black enhanced by 1,000,000.
All the stuff that we take for granted here that we don't realize that come from God, they're stripped from you as you fall into this place.
As I was going down, my soul was saying goodbye to everything. Everything.
Now the first thing that hit me was this smell.
There was an odor that came out of that pit, a sense of decay, a sense of all things bad.
No dead bodies, no dead animals, rotting flesh. There's nothing that can compare to this smell. Okay?
And these toxic, sulfurous fumes, I mean, just this putrid stench of rotting flesh, feces, sulfur.
If this smell was on the earth, we would die. And I can hear the sound of this tunnel.
And then I'm looking down and I see another portal. Like it's like another portal, and I knew like that was the end of it right there.
And I'm seeing this portal, and it's open. As it opened now, I'm pretty much right there, and I can see every detail. Now remember, your senses are heightened. You can see a molecule if you wanted to.
I'm trying to prepare myself for what's waiting, but nothing can prepare you.
Then I heard a sound. I heard a sound that you don't want to hear. I heard people screaming in a lake of fire.
I began hearing the screams of millions and millions and millions of people.
They were screaming these. So you wouldn't make that sound if you were being skinned alive or burnt to stake. It was horrifying.
The scream was so loud that in life I will blow the roof off my house.
I screamed so loud.
Some of them were angry and cursing God.
Oh my.
Some of them were screaming of fear and torment. And all the time you knew that they were stuck.
You had a lot of people asking for 5 more minutes, 1 more chance. Please, I'm sorry.
Let me out. I want to do right. I want to do right this time. I promise to do right.
The first thing I saw before me were the pits. And they were like, flames were coming up. And then you can see when these flames come up, that's how you can see.
It was like a leg of fire, but it was like a big pit.
Before I'm going to describe the people in the pits, were these beasts around all the pits. They had these spears and these ancient things, and people were trying to crawl out. They were sticking them, grabbing them, especially the big giant, grabbing them and throwing them right back into the pit.
Some sections, the walls of hell, are prisons.
There's cells in there, just like in prison.
And there were rows and rows of cells, like the old cells.
Rectangle prison, stretching as far as the eye could see. A medieval look.
I was on a cliff, okay, and it was people on the right side, people on the left side. But when I looked, it was a desolate forest. And there was a path in the forest. But these trees, it wasn't a regular forest. These trees were dead. It was just like a dead forest. And it was black sands, black and gray sands, okay?
There's trees, dead trees. The ground, the sand was like gray, dirty gray.
That's exactly all you see. It is this life void of life.
There was a long line of people in these chains.
I had these chains on me. Chain with the ball on the end.
And they were walking on this path, but each on the side of them like guards, almost like prison guards, but they were demons. And they were marching them towards the gates.
All their skin was ashen whitish, but I could still tell African American, Chinese.
The color of their flesh was like a smoky gray darkness. It wasn't, you can't tell what race they were only by their features, but they were from all over. Then all of them start looking and screaming, "Don't come here! Don't come!"
It was so terrifying. I was screaming, "Jesus!"
I said, my next step is I'm about to be down there in that chain gang heading on that path.
Your hearing, your seeing, your perception, all of that is magnified in that place.
You have a keen sense of touch, taste, sight, smell, feel.
My senses were so heightened.
When you pass away, you don't lose your 5 senses. No, they heightened. They get more potent. They raise times 1,000,000.
Everything is enhanced 1,000,000 times. Like, you know everything instantly. You feel everything instantly. You hear everything instantly.
It is not limited at all. No limitations. So multiple things happen at the exact same time. And in those realms, it's just the norm. It just makes sense. But then you come back here and now it doesn't make sense again.
There's no sleep, there's no rest, there's no food, there's no water.
So thirsty. It's like you haven't drank anything in years. You feel so hungry. You feel so tired.
For 1 month, not even 1 second of sleep. And for that month, no food. And for that month, no water. That's how I felt in hell.
The thing is when I was down there, my soul felt so much more sensitive.
If you get hit in the hand, you feel it through your whole body simultaneously at the same time.
It's just unbelievable how sensitive you are there.
But there's no air down there. Just have to tell you that. There's no air.
When I was trying to breathe, it was...
So I'm screaming, but at the exact same time I'm screaming, I'm suffocating. And I can only describe it like if you had been forced into a vacuum chamber and all the air's gone and you're suffocating, you have that panic, right? I can't breathe, and you're panicking, but you don't die. You're perpetually stuck in that state of panic. I'm gonna die, but you don't die. While all that's happening, someone releases toxic fumes into that gas chamber. and your lungs take in the fumes out of desperation.
Every breath it feels like you're suffocating, and your teeth are grinding constantly.
I like how your teeth were just gnashing. I said, I wish I would have listened. And all of a sudden, my body set on fire. My soul set on fire.
And this fire going through me constantly.
So I'm just standing there, okay? And then suddenly these flames just rose from the ground up.
And then I heard the flames roaring on that lake. I've been in a brush fire in California where 100-foot flames leaped up in the air. But this flames on the lake of fire exceeded that.
It was a torrent of flames. Your body's completely just being burned and roasted alive. And so I remember I looked down at my left arm because of the pain. It was just my entire being. It wasn't just the burning from the outside to the inside. It was the whole thing at once. And I looked down at my arms, and I could not believe what I was seeing. It was burning and sizzling, and then chunks of it would just fall off and hit the floor.
Their flesh burns. They burn, and the flesh falls. And your bones get nice and toasty and black and gray. And when it's done, then your skin, your flesh starts growing back on you. And then the flames start again.
Some of them were like charred skeletons, burned up skeletons. Some of them had flesh hanging off of them.
I'm freaking out. And I remembered I looked over to my right arm, and it was the same thing, just searing fire coming off and pieces of flesh burning and falling to the floor. But when I looked back to my left arm, the flesh that had just fallen off had regenerated, and it was burning and falling off all again. And I realized in that moment that whatever part of your body you're not looking at is regenerating so that you can watch it burn and fall all over again.
And I also seen maggots crawling through your flesh, and your bones, and they're eating you. They're eating your flesh.
Then I saw these thousands of these worms out of maggots biting me, going through me, in and out of me, because they're thick as soda cans.
6 to maybe 8 inches long. They're all kind of different size, but they were kind of a cloudy white looking number, and they clung to my arms and on all over my body too. And they were absolutely sickening. They would stick to your body and just sear you, and they would kind of crawl like an inchworm would. They'd kind of come up and just crawl. And the smell that came from them was by far the worst. By far the worst of any of the smells. And the fire just went right through them. It consumed me and ate me alive, but it went right through these worms, and then they burrowed. They would begin burrowing into my arms and into my body and just eating their way through me.
You know that you know. You know pretty much everything. You can see a person in hell and know why they're there.
I knew that all of these people thought they were saved. I knew it.
And that's a supernatural thing of when you're in hell, you know the sins, they're being spoken to you, and you're watching these horrible things.
I start to look to my right to kind of see where the flames are coming from, and that's when I saw a man also seated next to me. But what's interesting is as soon as I saw him, I knew everything about him instantly. Everything. Just that quick. And just the need to know is I knew his name was James. I knew he died at the age of 55 from a heart attack. And I also knew that he did not value his body, he did not value his life, and he especially did not value God. And this man was obese. And I found it shocking that even in hell, he was obese. On his stomach, these bubbles would begin to form, like boiling bubbles from the heat, and then they would pop, and the smoke and stench would roll up his body right into his nostrils and go down into him. And he just had to face, he was just constant, it was just, it's ever before you, the way you live here on earth. He looked up towards heaven as if pleading. But even I knew it was a waste of time. It was too late for him. And his head went down, and he began bobbing his head and sobbing. but there are no tears in hell. But he just sobbed.
The doors of hell crack open slightly, and a creature flew out of hell.
And I knew before I went down to that place that those same demons that were with me when I sinned in my life were going to be the ones to torture me.
This demonic spirit was assigned to me. I had this demonic spirit's lust. I had this demonic spirit's anger, and I had this demonic spirit's unforgiveness.
I heard it speak my name. This creature knew me. It knew me. I wasn't that bad a person. I may not have gone to church, but I was not. What did I do to deserve this?
Some of them have face of like rats. Some look like bats.
Part man, part wolf, part bear, and part pig or hog. If you took all of those and mashed it into an entity.
Look, some of them were just so deformed and ugly, hairy. It just didn't make sense.
Its skin was just rotting and disgusting yellow, and its teeth were just razor sharp. They were all crooked and nasty, but razor sharp. And then its eyes were like a lizard, but they were blood red. Blood red.
Some of them have yellow eyes, green eyes, red eyes.
But some of them had red eyes, some of them had yellow eyes with the slits in them.
And they were covered in black, almost like witches and warlocks cover themselves.
And it had a black cloak on too.
And I'm looking at these things, but they're not doing nothing. They're just looking at me with the most evil, just.
And it was furiously looking at me as if it wanted to just tear into me.
These eyes were evil, wicked.
If a black hole in our universe could take on bipedal form, it was that powerful of an evil.
The look of hatred that I saw in its glowing eyes, not just for me, but for all of mankind, will stay with me forever.
The way they feel about you and me, I tell people, we need to stick together as mankind. That's how I know God is protecting us every day. Even if you was to feel their hate, the energy, it is so, you would die here on earth.
You can feel the hate. It would be overwhelming for us. It would automatically explode your heart with such an...
It was so terrifying. Everything else was terrifying, but now I'm experiencing terror on a whole new level. My spirit body could not handle this evil, and I became stiff as a board, which meant I stopped screaming. And that was very bad. The instant I stopped screaming, 3 of them ran up to me so fast.
The demonic creature runs at me at the speed of light.
They attacked me, cut into me.
And when it threw me, I mean, the strength of this thing, it was like me picking up this pen and throwing this pen. It was like it was nothing.
They switch it up. They run on, they cut you down here this time, cut you up here, cut you here, come down into your throat, rip your tongue, your insides out.
And they were tearing my skin off, and my tendons were like hanging.
They can tear your head.
Just say if your arm gets ripped off, your arm will grow right back.
They will tear your pieces, and you're still alive. You can feel everything that's going on.
They will mutilate you and use your body parts to beat on you with.
Rejuvenate, and it happens over and over and over again.
Every time they took me to the point of where I would die in the natural, in this world, I opened my eyes and my body was back perfect, and they done it again. And the fear from the last time they done it was with me the next time, and that's how the fear and terror multiplies in hell.
Just when you think, okay, I'm maxed out of my anxiety, I'm maxed out of my, no. It keeps growing. And it doesn't stop. There's no limit to how fearful you become.
That just when you think it can't get any worse, you realize you've only just begun. You've only just begun.
What they was communicating back and forth, they were calling us stupid humans.
Demons call us, we're stupid humans.
Stupid humans.
We're stupid humans.
They were calling us stupid, and they were laughing. They laugh, they enjoy.
They're laughing. I can hear them clearly going, eee, just wicked.
It didn't care if it was hitting nails or smashing my fingers. And it was just going back and forth. And its head was back like this, and it was cackling. Like this wild, insane cackling noise, just hitting like this. It felt like lightning bolts were going up and down my arms. And I have no idea. You're so desperate. You're so desperate. I remembered I looked to the demon at my left, and I was about to beg it for mercy, even though I knew it was a complete waste. But it was all I could do is just beg it for some kind of mercy. When I started screaming again, I saw the demon's head go back and its eyes became euphoric. And I could tell it was high on my pain.
They get energy off our pain. They eat it. It's a form of food to them. It's like a drug to them. They get high off of it. That's why they're here on earth. They keep us depressed, angry, full of anxiety, because they're feeding off that. That's their food.
What the demons do to you while you're there. Things I can't even describe. They're that horrible. Things unimaginable they do to you.
It was so indescribable what they were doing to people. They have all kind of things with hooks on them with chains, and they would take people and they would put these hook things in people's mouths, and then they'll rip their whole heads backwards. And you can still hear the person screaming. So a lot of people were getting their face ripped off, and their face will come back, and they were ripping over their mouth and pouring hot lava down their throats. They'll melt, and they'll come right back, and they'll do it all over again. And then they invite other demons to come and get their turn.
Poking their privates all the way in and coming out through their chests in different directions.
Like they put these spears through them. These spears are huge, and they would take the body and they'll poke you through it, and they'll stuff you, and they'll stuff another one on top of you, and they'll stuff another one while you're screaming and moving, and then they'll pick you up, and I don't even know where they were carrying them. I saw them when they were torturing people. They were getting high, like they were just laughing, and they would invite more. Hey, come and get a piece of this. You know what I mean? Like type of energy. I'm just giving little examples as I can. Like the gossipers, you know what they were doing to them? They had lines of them, and they were taking their tongues out, and they were taking the nail, pow, pow, with their tongues.
I seen Christians, because they didn't want to get up and do anything for God. But the flames there rise higher on Christians. Demons torture you in different way.
And you're probably going, what does that look like? How do you know which ones were Christians and the ones that were not? There's a light that was in them that the devils were constantly trying to rip away from their flesh. The best way to explain it is imagine anointing oil that was once on something, but you can smell what's left over.
But this pastor was there because he had a big house, he had big Rolex, he had cars, and because he was robbing God.
They had all types of stuff for them. They had all types of, they had a field day with the pastors, the fake pastors. I'm just be honest.
And as they kept going around the circle in this box, they kept poking the hole, poking the hole, poking the hole, day and night. And I could hear somebody screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming. And there was a pastor in there.
For one example, they threw this one pastor in a box, and it was an old nasty box, but the box was filled with hot coals in it. So when they throw them in it and they close it, you can hear, the screams are beyond. And they were throwing these things in them. They were stabbing this. They were ripping people apart. They were eating people, especially the pastors. They had they had a real good time with them.
No one that hasn't experienced any part of hell can quite imagine how sexually charged these demons are.
I want you to imagine fornicating against your will until the point that your flesh can no longer stay on your bones.
Just imagine every hole in your body, your eyes, your ears, nose, were being penetrated. They had a lot of ladies already, like they had them in line on these poles, these like wooden posts, just lined up, and they'd snatch them off. One time this lady, I saw the demon came and snatched her off. Part of her arm and stuff was still stuck and hanging on the pole. And what they were doing to her, it is so grotesque. They were all her at the same time. Okay. And they were ripping her apart. And all of a sudden, her abdomen with no legs and no arms will start growing right back. And then they'll have other demons join in and do it all over again, all over again. It was just a repetitive thing of torture, nonstop.
I seen rivers of fire.
There's a river that flows through hell. It's like lava, but it flows all through, and it's a current. And there are people who are chained up in this current, and they're all chained up and they're screaming, but it's just a current of people.
Those were the homosexuals that were chained up together, walking in these rivers of fire.
See, there's a lot of things that I want to explain, but it's so gross. It is so perverted. There are forces out here that hate you more than you can even describe, that want to get you to that place. Their whole objective is to get you to that place.
Satan does nothing without plan. He plans everything. He has divided the world into principalities, territories. Over these territories, he puts a prince. Each prince is given as many demon spirits as he needs to carry out his plan for that principality.
And what happens is each year, at the end of each year, they shift different places. So each principality takes over a new territory on the earth. There was these things flying in and out, flying in and out constantly with messages, assignments, because they have jobs. Every demonic force has a job. They are highly organized and efficient.
Some continents might be one principality because there's no threat to the kingdom of darkness. But America is many principalities. There's many threats. Even down to an individual could be a principality.
We have been born into a spiritual war. And a lot of things that we think that are smaller really are huge. Okay? A lot of these things come from hell. Because the name of the game is distraction. The whole name of the game is to keep you distracted from getting a real personal relationship with God. Okay? A lot of them cause arthritis. A lot of them cause schizophrenia. A lot of them cause cancer. Anything they can do to cause you a distraction.
And I can hear almost rock and roll music. Just as us that I used to listen to Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and all this rock and roll music.
Pink Floyd played the song Money. It is a constant reminder to everybody what they traded their life for.
That's why I do not like the curse. That's why it's called a curse word. See, all of that stuff comes from hell, and people need to realize this. And I notice some of these dances, that's the same way some of these demonic things walk and glide around. It is creepy.
You guys see these movies, these Hollywood movies? So they see demons. It's why they come out with these movies, because that's exactly how they look.
There's this cliff, and it looked like water coming down. And there are a lot of people rushing to it. But when they got under it and went to it, they caught on fire. They've tricked you there. That wasn't water, it was sulfur.
And more people came out, and they were welcoming me to paradise, slapping me on the back, says, "Welcome to paradise, Brian. So glad you came here. All your friends are here." And all of a sudden things start to change, and they started to be piranha-like. They were circling me, and I looked at their eyes, and they were like alligator eyes with yellow irises.
Yellow eyes with the slits in them.
I saw this lady who died, and she was a control freak and had this image, and so that's why she was there. And she didn't see hell. She saw this was my grandparents' farm. Now, if she was resuscitated right then and there, she would have came back at that instant. She would be on Oprah and all the talk shows saying, "Don't be afraid to go to the light. Don't be afraid, because you're going to paradise."
There was a new reality that I needed to grasp. And that new reality for me was the word forever.
I just know I'm never getting out. This is it.
And the level of doom that came over me.
You think you know what eternity feels like mentally? No, I felt it.
I knew that I was going to be in this place forever and ever and ever and ever
and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
After I'd been there for 1 trillion years, I was only just beginning. And I would scream and scream and scream, but I had to scream at an amplitude that was pleasing to hell.
And what you become in hell is just a scream. just screaming, and that's it. There's no ear, you're not breathing, all you're getting is fear and terror into you, and they're cutting you asunder, and they're changing every time, they're ripping your legs off, they're cutting you up your privates, cutting your throat. Listen, they can do whatever they want down there, and that's it. That's where sin takes you.
And the worst part is, I knew I deserved to be there. That was the thing that really got me. I had no rebuttals for me not being there.
I knew for a fact I deserved to be here.
It was almost as if I had judged myself at that moment, and I agreed with God. I said, this is correct.
That whole time, I was in hell, but I call it pre-hell. But when I saw that place with these gates, I knew that was hell. I knew for a fact, if I passed those gates, I'm not coming back.
Once you go through the gates of hell, it's over. You're done.
I know if I go there, I'm done. So all the stuff that I've been through, the fear, the stuff that you can't even imagine, is nothing. It's just a starter. It was like orientation. And you know, compared to that place, if you pass that gate, there's no coming out from that place. And it's way worse than what I just saw. And I thought that was something.
There's this white light flagging around me so fast. It's so fast. And right away, I knew it was my guardian angel. And it was screaming from the right ear to the left ear, screaming at me back and forth. Amir, repeating itself. Please, you have to listen to me. He can still hear you. You have to tell Jesus to come into your heart and save you. You have to do it now before your soul leaves your body. Do it before your soul leaves your body. Hurry, he can still hear you. He's the only one that can save you. And I'm like, what do you mean, Jesus? What do you mean, Jesus? What about Allah? What do you mean, Jesus? That's I would never in a billion years ever think that Jesus would be the one to rescue me.
I literally heard a voice say, pray to God. And so I'm thinking, okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Oh, no. 70 years ago. No. And I just yell out into the darkness, pure desperation, Jesus, please save me, without the faintest idea whether there was a Jesus or not a Jesus, or whether he liked me or didn't like me.
And the angel spoke to me again and said, who is your God? He says, scream the name of your God. And I screamed it real loud, Jesus, and it echoed through the tunnels, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
And then he said, then proclaim it. Proclaim Jesus as your Lord and Savior.
And he's telling me, hurry. I screamed, I said, Jesus, come into my heart and save me. And a big flash and a thunder. My soul came right back into my body with so much force that I was sore for about three or 4 days.
But when I came, I got slammed into my body.
And that's when I came back into my body.
As I cried out to Jesus, immediately I was ripped from those flames, and all of a sudden I was in an ambulance.
I saw there was a very narrow door, and that was the only gate that was open. All the gates are closed. Through that narrow gate, I could see the entire kingdom of heaven.
It's either the broad way or the narrow way. The narrow way that leads to eternal life, or the broad way that leads to destruction. I knew that right outside those gates that I was looking at, it was where a majority of human beings go when they die.
From where the paramedic judged my body to be dead until it arrived at the hospital. In that 15 minutes, I was allowed to see 50 saints that go into heaven. That was the sum total of his harvest on the planet Earth for 15 minutes span of time. In that same 15 minutes, 1,950 more died. Only 50 out of 2,000 made it, 2.5%.
How I got this knowledge, I don't know how I get this knowledge. When you go there, 97% of people end up in hell. 92% of religious people end up in hell. That's what was kind of interesting.
The bundles of threads divided into two bundles. One was the gold threads, they went to heaven, and the other bundle were the red threads, they went to hell. And having worked as a machinist, I like to say I've got a calibrated eyeball measuring those respective bundles. 2.5%, plus or minus 0.1% of the general population go to heaven, And when I made that realization, Christ interjected and he said, I gave the church everything they needed to win the entire world to salvation from the generation of the apostles till now, and they have all failed horribly. If you do the math, that means that only 8% of professing Christians are actually saved.
2.5%.
2.5%.
97% of people end up in hell. 97%.
People don't understand. And they always ask me, okay, God is love. Why would God do this to us? Why would God do this? Well, I got an answer for you, okay? You can get that clear out your mind. First of all, we send ourselves there. He gives us every opportunity every day, all day not to go there. He gives us all the warning signs. It wasn't even originally created for us. It was created for the fallen angels in the first place. But since we want to follow them using our free will, he honors our free will. Out of 1.8 million known gods that are worshipped, why is he the only one made into a curse word? Why is he the only one so disrespected? Because he's the truth. That's why. I don't debate my experience. I don't have to debate it, because one thing we all have in common as human beings, we're all going to die. I'm just telling you. Like the UPS man, what does he do? He delivers your package and he leaves. Whatever you do with the package is up to you.
If there's something in you that gives the devil legal rights and a legal hold over your life, at the time where you die, you're going to hell.
Gossip, backstabbing, lust. Top one is gossip. The next one is unforgiveness.
What got me on the road to hell was unforgiveness.
There had become a chasm between me and God that I didn't know about through that religious spirit, and I'd been deceived.
All that once saved, always saved, that comes from the pits of hell itself. It's a lie. It's a lie.
It is not once saved, always saved. It is not. That's a lie.
Once you save forever, no matter what. And he used that on me right away. The first thing he used, security, peace, rest. All you've ever wanted, just stop breathing.
If you think you're okay because you go to church and you're not a very bad person, think again. If you have to understand you're a horrible person, you're a horrible person. We are horrible people, okay?
It's about our heart, people. It's not about can we do everything perfectly, because we never can.
We will sin till the day we die, but we have to battle it as believers.
I'm telling you, we have to repent.
Repentance, godly sorrow.
Know I fear God.
I plead with you to beg God for forgiveness. Don't think you're okay because you're not a rapist or a murderer, or you're not like them. Don't. I beg you, please.
I know now, after having this experience, how serious the red letters of Jesus Christ are. Jesus means what he says. Jesus has commanded us to a life of holiness. And if we're not holy, we have no business going into heaven.
All I say to the world is, if God says in this book, thou shalt not, don't do it.
My message to those out there today is quit living one foot in God and then one foot in the world. Lukewarmness is going to get you to hell.
Turn to God. Nothing here is worth it. Nothing here is worth it. Hell, it was so real. And I knew that every one of them people thought that they weren't bad people. They thought they were okay. They thought they were okay.
That's what I'm trying. That's the whole reason why I'm trying to tell the world. Is because there is truly hell. And it's so horrible. And I don't want anyone to go.
My family had they tried to have an intervention. And they're, smiling, laughing. Oh, really? Like that. And so I stood up. I go, listen, guys. I'm going to tell you this one time. I'm not going to go to hell for you. I'm not going to go to hell for you. Not for you, not for you, not for you, not for my wife, not for my kids, not for anybody. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be by yourself. Nobody's going to be there to be like, God, you know what? Give him a chance. He's okay. Please. For me, help, Nobody's going to be there except for Jesus. Except for Jesus.
Seek God. Why he can still be found. Because it just breaks my heart that so many people are going there that they don't know it. God bless you.